Welcome to the Box Jumper Podcast, episode number 6. You'll have to excuse me as I geek out a little on this one because I'm super excited to be joined by an actual CrossFit Games athlete, fresh off her experience and sharing it with us. I'm delighted to be joined by Colleen McQuaid of CrossFit Quispam in New Brunswick. Now, for the international folks that are listening, to give you an idea, that's a suburb of St. John, a city on the east coast of Canada along the Bay of Fundy, and about an hour and change drive from the U.S. border in Maine. Now, Colleen is an exciting guest for me. First, she's a maritimer that made it to the biggest stage in CrossFit and was there just 2 weekends ago. Second, she's a masters athlete competing at a very high level, and that just can't help but inspire you. And third, she's super friendly and a great example of how generous the CrossFit community is. I connected with her on Facebook just before her games experience got underway, and she immediately agreed to share her experience once she got back. As always, I'm your host, John St. Amand. I'm a CrossFit L1 trainer, a Catalyst Athletics L1 certified weightlifting coach, a masters athlete myself, a husband, a dad, a small business owner in Bedford, Nova Scotia, Canada. And with this podcast, I talk to people from all corners of the CrossFit and extended fitness community about getting healthy, happy, fit, staying active and independent, and all the other great things that make fitness part of your life. So let's talk about the games from the ground and get it from someone who was just there on the field, in the Coliseum, on the O course. We'll start in 10 for an insider's look from rookie CrossFit Games athlete, fierce competitor, physiotherapist, wife and mom, and proud maritimer, Colleen McQuaid. Welcome, Colleen. What a whirlwind of a few weeks you've had over the last little while.
Yes, it's been amazing.
For those joining, I'll give an introduction during the intro to the episode as well. But you just came back from the CrossFit Games, having competed in the 35 to 39 ladies division. And before we get into what your experience was at the games, I'm interested in backing up and talking about how you got there. So for starters, what's your background in sport?
I was a gymnast until I was between 7 and 14.
Mm-hmm.
So I trained about 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. And I guess looking back, I think CrossFit training is very similar to the training I did as a child. And I loved it. Like I couldn't get enough of it. So I've always been interested in fitness.
Yeah.
When I stopped doing gymnastics, I started playing every single sport I could that my parents would allow me to. So I played, but I kind of focused on hockey, volleyball, softball, track. Those were the things I did in high school. And then in university, I played varsity hockey, varsity cross country, running, track, and softball, all in university. So I wasn't a big gym person. I think I had a year's membership at the Good Life in 2006 when I finished physio school. But that's about it in terms of lifting weights. I wasn't into that at all. It was more sports related.
Mm-hmm.
So my Heather, the owner of our gym, Heather Wood, her and I played ball hockey. Ball hockey is another big one, sport of mine. And I ran into her when I was pregnant with my third. And I knew that she had owned a gym. A couple of my patients had done CrossFit. My sister started it. So there was lots of things pushing me, I guess, to try it. And then, I wanted to get in shape after I had my third baby. And we had ball hockey nationals coming up that summer. So I thought, oh, this is a great way to get into shape. And first workout, I was hooked. That was it.
Yep.
Game over.
Now it's interesting. I mean, you have an interesting background, not just in sport, but you're a physiotherapist as well. So how long have you been practicing, and what was the progression for you professionally before you even got into CrossFit?
I've been practicing for 12 years as a physio. I've worked kind of all over. We lived in Ontario for a couple of years, so I worked with actually the Women's National Hockey League team for 2 years. Mm-hmm. Private clinics, hospital, moved back here, this is home, Rossay, Quispam area. We lived in St. Andrews. I worked down there. I feel like I got a lot of experience working everywhere. And then my best friend and I opened up a private clinic 6 years ago. So, and since I joined CrossFit, I actually have the privilege of treating a lot of CrossFitters from the KV area, but also all over St. John. So that's really been a wonderful addition to our practice.
I would imagine. Certainly, we've got a few physios in our gym as well, and they have a unique perspective on how to treat athletes that are going to CrossFit on a regular basis, and they have a unique awareness of what types of aches and pains and the types of things that they'll commonly come in for, whether it's a mobility issue that they're looking to correct in order to increase their performance in class, or whether they've done something wrong, injured themselves, and they're looking to get some help in fixing that and getting back into class. So it's certainly any of the physios that I've gone to, particularly since I've started CrossFit, I've really appreciated going in and talking to somebody that has some experience with CrossFit, so that first of all, they're not immediately saying, "Why are you doing that?" They get it.
Yeah.
But they also understand what
Yeah.
the movements are, so they understand what the strains are on the joints, on the muscles. And so I feel like they're in a better position to treat athletes that are doing CrossFit.
Absolutely. And I took my level 1 3 years ago. I mean, I was only into CrossFit a year, but I took it because obviously I wanted to learn more personally, but I also wanted to learn and to coach. I mean, I will fill in and coach sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
but my main objective was to learn the movements better, be able to break them down for my patients. So when I get CrossFitters in, the first thing I do is let me see a squat,
Yeah.
and I feel they love that I understand the movements and I can break it down from a coach, but also as a physio, and I can pick it apart and say, okay, well, you're not squatting. It's not your hip mobility, it's your ankle mobility. So let's work on that. Or, you're not engaging your core properly. So let's scale it back right to the beginning, strip you down and build you back up again. And not only that, I will get CrossFitter patients to, message me. I said, like, if you want to go work out, I want you to move. I want you to keep
Mm-hmm.
active. So message me and I'll tell you how to scale and modify the workout. So they love
No,
that,
for sure.
having that option as
Yeah.
well.
Now, how do you manage your schedule? I mean, you're a practicing physiotherapist, a mom of three. You've got, all of this stuff going on, and yet over your experience in CrossFit, you've become among the best CrossFitters in the world. How have you pulled that off?
Sounds funny to hear. Um, well, I think being self-employed does help.
Mm,
So my schedule and leading up to the games, I've only ever trained Monday, Wednesday, Friday on my lunch break. Tuesdays and Thursdays I start work at 3:30. So I would train in the morning on Tuesdays a little bit longer, like maybe an hour and a half. Thursdays was always a day off because I've always had a kid home with me, at least one.
mm-hmm.
This is the first year starting in September. I'll have 3 kids in school. Um, and then Saturdays was a partner workout with, usually my husband was my partner, and Sundays would be like a strength day or like run and strength. So I really didn't work out that much leading up to the games. So I felt like it was very doable. It was very my schedule it just fit. And then, so when I got home from work, I was 100% involved in my kids' activities. So I got all my workouts done in the day. Or like if they have hockey on the weekend, you know, they
Right.
come first. So we go to their practices or their games. And because I'll have all 3 in hockey this year. I had 2 in hockey last year. But I mean, my kids play everything. They played ball hockey in the fall. They played spring hockey. Right now, they're playing soccer and baseball, and then we'll start up. There'll be um, fall baseball, fall soccer, fall hockey, and then back into hockey full time in the winter, tournaments and everything. So I try to have everything. My kids come first on the
Right.
weekends, so I prioritize them first. And if I have to get up at 6, if we're leaving to go for a tournament or something and work out for an hour before I go, that's what I do. Or, in the hotels, I get up before they get up and I'd go and get my workout in, or in between games, go for a run. So yeah, that's how I did it, like on the weekends and stuff. And through the week, I really just got all my activity in before I got home so that, you know, they came first. Um, and I think having a flexible schedule with that really helps. My husband's a teacher,
Mm-hmm.
so training for the games was he was amazing, and he understood what I had to do and what I had to put into it. in order to be prepared for the games. So he was off this summer, and just wonderful. Like, we would try to do as much stuff as we could together, or um, involve the kids if we could. And it was. I was very fortunate, I guess, to have the support, and my mom too. My mom was fantastic. My mom would come take the kids, and my husband would join me for an extra hour at the gym or something.
Yep.
So yeah, it was. That's how we kind of manage a great community family support, I guess.
So how do you handle the programming side of things? Are you just doing the regular programming at your box, or do you supplement it? I mean, you say you go running, and there's other activities outside of the gym, but how do you approach training to the level that not only gets you to the games, but winds up having you succeed at the games? I mean, you performed very well. You had very consistent outcomes across the workouts at the games. How did you get yourself ready for it?
I knew I had to get stronger late in the fall. So I did do a weightlifting program with Mel Clark, Mel's Bells Weightlifting.
Mm-hmm.
And that was great. And she's fantastic. And then there was the Open, and I didn't prepare any differently for the Open. I just did all of our boxes, regular programming. Heather did program like Open workouts leading up to it, and I think that really mentally prepared me going into the Open. This year going into the Open, I think I was just more, I had my head in a better space. I was just like, I no pressure on myself, just do the workouts and don't stress about them, and just 100% every workout. And when the Open was done, and then I did the online qualifier, and I found out I was going to the games. I think I had 3 months. I found out May 10th, which was actually my birthday. So May, June, July, I had 3 months to prepare. So I started with Adam Westfield doing some more strengthening stuff. So I did a strengthening program with him for 6 weeks on top of our box's regular workouts. And that was also fantastic. I think it gave me a good base and a much better, same as Mel's program, like very good understanding of the lifts. So I didn't have to think about technique as much because I was getting it down with my lifts. But yeah, then I kind of had a panic attack and was like, I can't fit all this in. Like, there's so much other stuff I have to fit in. Like, I was trying to get regular rods in, trying to do this strength training, and then trying to do, all the extra stuff. Like, what if there's parallel handstand push-ups, and what if there's a pegboard?
Yeah, being ready for the unknown.
I'm going to have to push a sled. Exactly. So I knew that Caroline Reason-Thibault coached and did programming for Chantal Bouchard, a friend of mine. Everybody I think knows, Maritimes knows Chantal. And so I actually messaged Caroline Reason-Thibault and just kind of said, how do you plan to train for the games? I said, I'm kind of at a loss. I'm just stressing, and it's just too much right now for me to try to program myself. And she said, well, there's a girl at my gym, Coach Liz, and she said she trained with me all last year while I was training for the games. So she understands the type of training that is required for the games, and she coaches full time. Let me see if she'd be interested. So she wrote me back, like, I think half an hour later, and was like, yes, she's very interested in working with a games athlete. So I said, great. So I started with 9 weeks before the games, and she kicked my butt. She mentally and physically challenged me a lot more than I've ever been. The training was awesome. I loved it. So yeah, she sat down with me. What are all your max lifts? What can you run this in? What can you row that in? What are your weaknesses? What are your strengths? She looked at all my scores for the Open, all my scores for the online qualifier, and set up a plan very personalized to me. And yeah, we did a lot of conditioning. We didn't do a whole lot of lifting, to be honest. Like 65, 70%, 1 rep max bar cycling things, but nothing max. And yeah, just a lot of conditioning, a lot of heavy man stuff, a lot of, like just everything I needed to have, I guess. And even though my weaknesses were still my weaknesses at the games, they were huge improvements for me personally. So yeah, it was it was awesome. The training was awesome. And looking back, everybody says, "Oh, how do you feel after the games?" I honestly felt great. I took 2 days off and then jumped right back into training because the training I did before was much tougher than the actual games itself.
Mm. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I did find that the programming at the games this year was a little bit more. Um, the intensity was a little bit different than it was last year. In watching, I mean, I wouldn't pretend to do some of those movements. I mean, I don't know how some of those workouts can be accomplished in the kind of times that you all are doing them. But everything seemed pretty accessible. They were just, the elite athletes are just doing it much faster, much more efficiently. They're just making those movements look easy. But it did seem to have a higher volume of traditional CrossFit movements mixed in with a little bit of unusual stuff. I mean, there was certainly an emphasis on handstand work this year, which was a surprise for a lot of people, and not everybody's comfortable with them. Seems like you don't have a problem with them with your background in gymnastics, though.
Yeah, the handstand one wasn't one of my greatest events, just because I had never done the ramp,
Right.
and they gave I can walk on my hands for days. Like that's one of my strongest movements. If somebody asked me what one of my best movements is, it would definitely be walking on my hands. They gave us that ramp to walk up and down, just before we went out, like an hour before. So, and there's, a ton of teens and masters all trying to do it at the same time. So I did get the hang of it in warm up, but, game time is a little bit different and you get a little bit nervous. And I was just very precautious when I was doing that
Right.
workout. I was very slow and all the girls that I was competing with, every single one of them went to regionals. I was the only girl that had never been to regionals or the games in
Oh,
my
right.
division. So, yeah, so that was one of those workouts that experience did really benefit. So yeah, they were all like, "Well, this is easier. At least we don't have to go downstairs." And I was like, that ramp is very deceiving looking. It's very steep.
Mm.
And when you go down, I almost did a plant the first time because I got going so fast. So that was one that was, I was pumped. I was like, "Oh yes, I'm gonna crush this one." And then, I did it, and it was a very high skilled movement. It wasn't more arm endurance one. It was just a skilled movement
Right.
that I hadn't done before.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed doing it, but yeah.
Now, in addition to the physical preparation for the games, did you wind up adjusting how you approach nutrition and mobility, recovery, sleep, or were all of those things already part of the way that you train?
Yeah, being a master's athlete is definitely different. Um, I still think I'm, 26 instead of 36. So sometimes I have to realize that I'm not. Uh, my nutrition, I dialed in, I would say in January, really, really well. Um, and did I see anybody? Not really. I've, you know, I've done my research, I guess, and kind of understood. I understand nutrition a bit, but yeah, I probably should be going with somebody for my nutrition. There's a local clinic or a local place here, Simply for Life, but then there's Nella's, and Nella's was fantastic. They make fresh local food
Mm-hmm.
daily, and so they sponsored me. So they gave me meals every day.
Oh,
So
nice.
that really, really helped with my meal planning and prep. I can't thank them enough. I would really, literally run to the gym, from work to the gym. I would scoot over to Nella's, grab my meal, and eat it in the car on the way back to work. So they were a lifesaver. So yeah, nutrition, I felt like I had a basic understanding of how I need to fuel my body, and recovery. I use Isogenics as my supplement company that I use. I've used them for 3 years now
Mm-hmm.
consistently. I love their products, and I feel like they're good for me, and they help me a lot. And then in terms of sleep, well, I have 3 kids and 2 dogs,
Yeah,
so
more challenging under those circumstances, I'm sure.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, sleep is always something that I struggle with, and I'm used to sleeping, working out and working with very little sleep. So that's not an issue. I mean, I've gone to competitions with like 4 hours of sleep before. Um, so yeah, that's not a. I mean, if I get more sleep, that's lovely, but it's not a that I don't know if that really factors into my
Hmm.
performance at all. And then in terms of mobility, I do ROMWOD every single night. The games actually at the games they gave us ROMWOD was there and gave all the athletes a free year's subscription to ROMWOD. So
Oh, nice.
that's pretty cool. And then I have, well, being a physio, I kind of
Mm.
have um, the tools and the ability to treat myself a little bit. But my partner, Jessica Holland, treated me a lot, as well as I have a massage therapist at my clinic, Angela Alexander. She was fantastic. And then one of our members, Tara Jackson, is an osteopath, and she was amazing. And then I had Dan Como, a chiropractor, owner of Town Chiropractor, that definitely gave me a lot of help as well. So I would kind of rotate leading up to the games. I would kind of rotate between the four of them and just make sure that I was on top of injuries and fleshing out my body and taking as best care of myself as I can, which is really hard sometimes when you're trying to work out as much as you are. Sometimes it's hard to fit in and take care of yourself like you need to.
So let's talk a little bit about what the games experience itself was like. Just even
Mhm.
starting with athlete check-in, what was the process? I mean, you were arriving as a rookie, so you were going through all of this for the first time. What process did they take you through?
So when you got there, you had to go do a voice dub to have the correct pronunciation of your name.
Mhm.
Um, Even though they called me Colleen McQuaid every single time. um, that was a huge fail on their part. And then you sit in a waiting room and you're in these comfy couches with like, uh, the faux uh, rugs, and it's just, they have it set up very nicely. And then they call you in and they have a like one of those high pedestal tables, and there's two people and they open up your box,
Hmm.
and everything is personalized. So everything, has McQuaid 367 was my number this year, and they go through the box and just kind of explain all the clothing that you get. So yeah, I think I was drooling a bit. My jaw may have hit the floor. So yeah, they gave us a ton of clothing. And then the cool thing this year is the opening ceremony. So they gave us an outfit. They called it a uniform specifically for the opening ceremony. So it consisted of a white zip up coat with a hood, and it had a Canadian flag on the front and a large Canadian flag on the back. It said McQuaid and CrossFit Nemesis. And then we had to wear certain pants, certain shirt, certain bra, certain socks and shoes. So that was kind of cool. It was a neat addition to, I think, previous years. And then when you're clothing, you try on all your clothing, make sure everything fits, and then you go over to another table, and everybody's super friendly, and they already know your name before you get there. And they give you a backpack and put all your stuff in the backpack, and then somebody else comes over and shakes your hand and introduces themselves, and then they fit you for your shoes. So I got a pair of the Nano 8s and lifters, running shoes, and track shoes.
Wow.
And then, yeah, and then they send you over to another booth, and they give you two, I think it was 24 pairs of Reebok socks and and the junk band headbands. And then there was a part there too that was really cool that you could make a video. I didn't do it. I should have. It would have been cool, but it was a long wait list to do it. And and then they had this cool. I don't know if you've seen it. It's like a clear, like plexiglass, great big huge wall with everybody's names on it for
Oh,
the year.
nice.
So yeah, it was kind of neat. Um, and then there's another row of vendors that give you free stuff, which is very cool as an extra bonus. So um, like I had mentioned, Ramad was there, so they gave us a free year's membership and compression socks and a tank top and a bag, and then we got these really nice glass water bottles. It said CrossFit Games 2018. We got compression sleeves and grips. I'm Just trying to think if there's anything else. I think that's it. But yeah, so we got a lot of loot the first day. That was pretty amazing.
Was the process any different for rookie athletes? Did they do anything different for the athletes that were first timers, or was it the same for everybody?
No, it was the same for everybody. Yeah. The girls in my group, like I said, they had all been to like either regionals or the games, so they knew the whole process, and I was constantly asking questions because I was like a fish out of water. I had no idea what I was doing. But yeah, they were all fantastic, really nice girls. So yeah, they just kind of guided me, I guess, and helped me. But I sometimes felt left out because they were always like, remember last year when we did this? And last year we had to do that. Remember at regionals we had to do this? And I'm like, I've never been here. So
well, on the flip side, you'll be in that position next year, so you'll have the experience that other rookies will not have had.
oh, I hope I make it next year. It was amazing.
What was it like to take the field for your very first event at your first games?
I always okay, so the first competition I was ever in was D-Town, YQM's competition in Moncton, England. Yep. And
I know it well.
yeah, so I've done it this will be my 5th time doing it actually. So it was my very first competition. I was only into CrossFit for 6 months. My owner put me in RX and I was just terrified. I said, my first competition, I should not be doing RX. She said, yes, you should. Very first event was running. So, and I was a runner, right?
Mm-hmm.
To me, that was very comforting. It was something that I was familiar with, something that I was good at. And I really enjoyed their competitions for that reason. Every competition, they always start off with a running event. And so it kind of just breaks you into it, right? It's something that you're comfortable at, something that I could easily do, and just gives you a little bit of confidence. So I felt like the games was kind of the same thing. They said, you're going to run 500.
Yeah, the battleground started with a run.
Yeah. Yeah, you're going to run 500 meters, and then you're just going to climb over a bunch of shit. And I was like, well, I can do that. That's not a problem, right? The other girls had as much. I mean, they did do it last year, but they also, I think it might have been a little bit different last year. Actually, no, I think it was the same. But to me, it was, I've got kids. I'm always at the playground. I love climbing ropes is one of my best things that I do in CrossFit. And yeah, that's just kind of something that I knew that I would be good at. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't scary to me. There was one part at the very end where you have to, you walk up that steep log, and then you have to swing on the rope and land on the other.
Right.
And if you fail that,
you have to go back to the beginning.
30 seconds gone right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Sam Briggs was actually the one giving me tips for that. She said, you catch low on the rope and fall into it. I was like, okay. And we were doing it side by side in the practice. We had a practice the day before. They give us 4 minutes, big whopping 4 minutes to practice whatever obstacles we wanted. So so some of the vets, like they helped me out a lot. Actually, Sam Briggs helped me out the most during the whole competition. But yeah, they gave me tips and stuff. So that one, I was nervous, but it was different. Like every event that I went into, I was nervous, obviously, but more excited because I had zero expectations. Like I had not, like I came in 20th spot. So every workout I did better than 20th spot was bonus for me. I don't know. Nobody knew who I was.
Right? Relish the anonymity.
It was great.
Yeah. Now it's interesting. The battleground was your best finish, but that doesn't necessarily mean to you that it was your best event. Was there one event that you felt like you exceeded your own personal expectations, irrespective of where you finished?
My worst finished was the muscle up back squat workout, the one that I finished with those box jumps overs. And my coach really worked hard with me on muscle ups. Ring muscle ups is one of my weaknesses, just in high volume. I can do 2s and 3s, no problem. But if you throw like 30 at me, it was something that I was really weak at. So I had done 30 muscle ups for time in May before I started with my coach. And I did it again just the week before I left for the games. And I bettered my time by 2 minutes. So for me, that workout was, I think I came like 11th or 12th in that workout. But that for me was that was personally, that was good. I still know that I have to work on them in volume. I actually love working on them. It's not a problem. Um, but yeah, and that was probably my most memorable moment at the games. I don't know if you saw that. I put it on Instagram, the video of Sam Briggs cheering me on.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it looked like you were. Yeah, I mean, when you hit the box jumps, you were just getting up and over them so incredibly quickly, and she came over, and I don't know what she was saying to you, but you were just motoring along, and you did not slow down until you were done.
Well, I like box jump overs. That's always one thing. That's how I always do my box jump overs. Um, but yeah, she was encouraging me. And then when she gets up and she comes a little bit closer and starts really yelling at me in my face, she said, "Don't you dare stop. You're going to pass her. Keep going, keep moving." And then she gives me the wink and the high five as she afterwards. She's awesome. Um, that was definitely one of my most memorable moments for sure. But in terms of proudest moment would be the double under snatch workout. Um, my one rep max is like 170 pounds. And a couple days before that, and my coach really didn't program anything heavy in terms of lifting. So I hadn't snatched heavy for a while. And obviously, all the other training that she had given me helped for me able to do them in the workout. But a couple days before that, on the Monday, I think, she said, "Do the snatches. Don't do the workout. Just do the snatches." So I struggled with 165. It took me probably 10 tries to get it. And I just left it. I said, "What it is, what it is. Hopefully some adrenaline will get me through. I know I can do it." And on that was Wednesdays. That was the third workout of the day too that day. And I failed my first one, and then I got the second two in a row, and I just I ran across the finish line with the biggest smile on my face. And that, yeah, again, it wasn't one of my best finishes. I came 11th, but that was definitely one of my highlights of the whole week, finishing that workout, because I think there was 4 or 5 girls that didn't finish it. Sam Briggs being one of them. I went over and cheered on her.
What did you get to do with your downtime in between events too? Like, was there ever a point where you got to just kind of decompress a little bit? Did the athletes socialize at all, or was it game time and you had to actually actively work on your recovery to get ready for the next workout and the next day?
I got in on Sunday, so I worked out like Monday, Tuesday. My family got, so my husband and I got there Sunday. Yeah, so Sunday was like an off day, just kind of get around and find out where everything is. Monday, Tuesday was I worked out. My family flew in on Tuesday, so that was nice. We did a nice dinner and stuff with them. Wednesday, I worked out 3 times, and it was, in between, you're just like stretching and on the bike and stuff. And Wednesday night, I'm just trying to think of, like, every night I would go out with my family, my mom and my kids and my husband. And then I would just, stretch and stuff in the evening, but nothing. We did go watch some of the individuals in between events. Not a whole lot, to be honest. It was definitely hard. I think Wednesday night we went and watched the rowing marathon, and then Thursday was an off day. So my mom and husband and my kids went to I don't know what water park it is, but it's the largest water park in North America. So they had more fun than I did. And Thursday was Thursday. I went to the gym. Because Friday I had to do the rowing ski and dumbbell one and the jerk. So yeah, just worked on technique. I'd never done the skier before. Sam Briggs actually came over and showed me how to use that. She was very helpful. I think she was like, "I'm going to kill you on this one anyway, so I might as well show you how to do it." So she showed me how to do that, and then I met up. There's some funny CrossFit people were there, so I met up with them, and I went for a swim with Rob Pearson. He came with me just so I didn't drown. And yeah, I just had like a nice dinner again and stretched, and that's kind of how I did. Like, I would just I didn't go to much of the venues, walking around, because I always had my heavy book bag on me, which was, like 30 pounds of stuff inside it. So you could leave your stuff in the athletes village. There was a big warm up area there. The gym was like, one side was teams, then there was like teens and masters, and then the individuals were on the other side.
Right.
So yeah, you could leave all your stuff there. I went to, there's a Aristoti was like the name of the rehab company that was there.
Mm-hmm.
So you could have all the athletes had access to treatment. So that was one thing I did too every day. I went for treatment, just got like worked on. I had a knee issue and a neck issue, and they were fantastic. And then they would always tape you up, make sure that you're good. So I did that on all of my days. Friday, I actually got sunstroke. I got heat stroke. So that was rough. Friday and Saturday were rough. But yeah, it was a battle of trying to get enough food into you, trying to stay out of the sun, and stretch and mobilize.
Now, you worked on weaknesses that you had already identified going into the games for this year. Did the games themselves reveal anything that you think you need to work on prior to this coming season?
There's always room for improvement. Yeah.
Well, sure.
Muscle up still. Yeah. Muscle up still. Like cycling snatches, like heavier snatches. Obviously I want to work on that. My clean and jerks are a lot better than my snatches. I'm just going through all the workouts in my head. It's like the open is different than the games too. It's completely different training, right? So it's lightweight and it's just different training. It's not so much high skilled events that you have to train for, right?
Right.
There were so many things that I hadn't done at the games before that I can't really compare. Like I'd never done a yoke carry ever. So, and it was the girls that had done it before said 380 pounds was pretty heavy to do for the length that we did. I have no idea. I've never done that before. So I think I did 8th on that workout, but that was a workout I got the heat stroke during it, right in the middle of it.
Right.
What else did I do? The ski erg, I definitely need to work on that, but we don't have one. And for the games next year, if I do make it again, definitely swimming. So, I don't know. I feel like there's so much to work on.
Well, and you never know what's going to get thrown at us for the next season either. There's some stuff that's consistently there, but there's always things that change too.
Right. Yeah. No, I just you got to work on your strengths too, because I feel like sometimes we focus on our weaknesses too much, and then our strengths get put on a back burner, and then they're not our strengths anymore. That's the tough part with CrossFit.
Yeah. Were there any events that you saw announced for the individuals that you wish you had been able to take a crack at, knowing that the programming wasn't going to overlap?
Definitely not the marathon row. That would be my worst nightmare. I really liked the workout that they did with the obstacle course with a 14-pound. They had the vest on, the weighted vest, and they had to run and then carry the dummy across the field. I love stuff like that. I think that would be fun. I also like the one where they were running a salt bike and pulling the sled on the field. But
that was a really interesting event to see them come out on the field and find out only as they're doing it how many reps they have to do, for example.
So my favorite part of competitions is the semis and the finals, when you don't know what you're doing till the day before, or till the moments before. I mean, so that workout to me was like the coolest workout that they've ever done at the games. They could have made it a bit more fun, but I love the premise behind it. And we didn't find out our final workouts for Sunday until Saturday night. And Dave Castro himself actually came in and announced them to us. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you had an absolutely amazing experience. I hope that you get another shot at it.
Me too.
It certainly seems like your training is there to support it. You're one of the people that's blessed with the ability to do these movements, and your background in sport and in fitness are certainly taking you a long way in this new CrossFit journey. And I hope to be able to watch you at the games next year as well. And I don't doubt that if people from the community, particularly the Maritimes, certainly know who you are now, they're watching, and I'm sure they're going to be eagerly cheering you on throughout the Open, the online qualifier, and subsequently, hopefully, an appearance at the Games next year.
Oh, thank you. The community support from all over the Maritimes, all over Canada, was absolutely amazing. Um, I got, so many messages from people. I just want to say a big thank you to everybody. It really, really meant a lot to me. I read every single message, and knowing that I had so much support and so many people watching me and cheer me on from home really, light the fire in you and makes you want to do it for them.
I'll bet. Well, thanks very much for sharing your experience, Colleen. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. It was great.
We've reached our time cap. I hope you're as energized as I am from this latest episode of the Box Jumper Podcast. Please subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you get upcoming episodes automatically as I'm joined by more guests to talk about fitness and health. A huge thank you to Colleen McQuaid for joining me for this episode. I'm really looking forward to meeting her in person at the upcoming D-Town Throwdown competition in Moncton. When the first event gets underway, I'm sure I'll see her briefly at the start line, and then she'll be relaxed and long since done by the time I cross at the finish. But hey, that's CrossFit. While we're at it, a huge shout out to Sam Briggs for showing such support for Colleen at the Games. That's a class act, an experienced CrossFit competitor doing the community proud. You can connect with Colleen on Instagram at COCMCQUAID and CrossFit QuispamSis at, do I need to spell this? CrossFit QUISPAMSISGMAILCOM. That's their username on Instagram. If you like this episode, do me a solid, write me a 5-star review on iTunes. I'm hoping to share some reviews and comments on future episodes. And of course, if you have ideas or people that you'd like me to talk to, email me at info@boxjumper.ca. Visit boxjumper.ca for other fitness-related stuff outside the podcast as well. And of course, you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook with the handle @boxjumperover40. Thanks for listening once again. Lots more to come. Until then, stay healthy, WOD happy, and WOD often.